Well, hello, I am Dr. Smith, and little known fact is that the Eisenhower interstate system is built over major ley lines. Rumor has it that if specific conditions are met, weird phenomena will occur. As my close inspections, there are two phenomena. First, the phenomena of the first. The first sign of the phenomenon is that you will lose all radio reception, and devices such as MP3 player, Discman, tape decks, and other music player will cease to functioning. Your heater will begin to only dispense cold air, regardless to the settings. After the first mile of this, you will notice a fog growing at the edges of the road, and you will see no exits, regardless of whether they were supposed to be there. If you continue on, you will begin to see the occasional pedestrian. Some of them will gesture that they would like to hitch a ride or something, but under no circumstances should you stop for them. No one has ever stopped and survived. If you see lights approaching from behind and it is a hearse, do not let it pass you, no matter what. After 13 miles, the phenomenon will end and you will be safe. The phenomena of the seconds, I investigated with the witnesses after they read the instructions they found in the book, left behind in a rest stop bathroom. Participants must mix a shot of whiskey, a drip of their own blood. One drop for each participant, of course, you don't want to have anemia, don't you? A pinch of salt and a small amount of used engine oil. Mix with water for the rest stop fountain in a glass bottle and smash it on the interstate in the evening or morning. If the instructions were followed correctly, the way will become densely foggy. An unmarked exit will appear, and if you pass it by, it will be close to you for 6 years. If you take the exit, go left and enter the interstate. Half a mile down the road there is an old gas station. Inside, it is said that a full glass of coffee sold there will keep you awake all night, and the other food and beverages are purported to have various properties themselves. Pay the proprietor only in metal coinage. No bills, no checks, no cards. There are also some arcade machines near the back of the store, as well as an old fortune-telling wizard in a glass case. He knows how you will die. Accept no sexual favors from him, or you will die. When I was a kid, I was horrified of the Easter Bunny, and I never ever saw one in the supermarket taking pictures with other kids. I would scream until my mom would calm me down, but once I turned about 9 years of age, my fear turned into hate. Then one day when my parents and I were at Baker's to get groceries, the Easter Bunny was there taking pictures. I saw this perfect opportunity to show him how much I hated him. So I asked Mom if I could get a picture with him, but she said no. I then started to plead until she said yes. Perfect, I thought. Now I can finally show him how worthless he really is. Waiting in a line, I started to ponder what I would say to him. It was my turn and I still didn't know what to say, so I told myself to say whatever came to my mind. When I sat up on his lap, I whispered in his ear, "I hope you die horribly and painfully. I hope you get shot twice with a shotgun and get run over by a semi-truck." Then I turned towards the camera, smiled, and hopped down so the next kid could get his picture in. When I went to my bed that night, I couldn't help but feel like someone or something was watching me through my bedroom window. But that was absurd because I live on the 3rd floor of an apartment building that had high security in the front and back entrances. But I couldn't shake that feeling. My dreams that night were horrible. I started out in an empty universe. There was nothing, just whiteness and me, and something else in the distance. It was way too far to tell what it was, so I started to walk towards it. Then I realized that I was running straight to me. Then, when it was within my sight, I could tell what it was. An oversized bunny. The Easter Bunny, perhaps? No, this thing looked much more sinister and horrifying than that. I was scared and I didn't know what to do, so I turned and ran. But it was no use. It was much too fast for me to escape. He soon caught up with me. He grabbed my shoulder and stopped me in my tracks. I fell to the ground, lying there, eyes closed because I was too terrified to open them. I tried to think of a way to escape, but I couldn't. The only thing my mind would say is, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. And when I opened them, he was there. He looked terrifying. He was the Easter Bunny, except more demonic rabbit or something. His mouth was open and was drooling all over me. His teeth were horrible. They were either super sharp, chipped off, probably from eating the bones of little children, or completely missing. His eyes were black, like he had just gotten out of a fight, and there were two gaping holes in his forehead. I tried to get up, but couldn't. For one of his feet was on my chest, which I had not noticed until that very moment. His feet smelled like garbage dumpster. He had extremely sharp toenails, and a few of his toes were ruggedly cut off. My heart was beating so hard I thought it would burst. Then everything went red, and he bent down and grabbed me by my shirt collar and pulled me closer to his ugly face. So close that I could smell his breath, which smelled like someone has taken a shit in my mouth. You dared to threaten me, and now this is how you pay. He then took me 3 of his fingers and ran them down my chest. Let this be a warning to all that I will kill whoever wishes me dead. I was desperate to get away, so I kicked him as hard as I could. That is also when I learned the gender of the beast. He dropped like a stone. I hit the ground and stood there. I couldn't move. When the thing looked up, he had beet red eyes and blood pouring out of his mouth. He slashed me in the stomach. I screamed. Then I woke in the hospital, barely alive. I still had the scars. It turned out that I fell off the top bunk of my bed and destroyed my glass bedside table, and pieces of it scratched my chest and stomach, and some even went under my body. I was in coma for 2 weeks. Was this how my mind processed me getting hurt because of my old incurred feeling for the Easter Bunny? Or did the Easter Bunny actually do this? To this day, I think that there were a supernatural being that pushed me off my bed and tried to kill me. I've always loved art. It was a way to send a statement by using colors, forms, or pictures. There's many different kinds of art, from pictures to statues. Even dancing and sports are considered work of art done with the body. But I like mirrors. Yes, mirrors. If you put 2 mirrors facing each other, they will reflect to eternity. And putting mirrors into specific angles to get special effect out of the reflections is art to me. I started doing the hallway effect by just putting 2 mirrors in front of each other and taking a picture and cropping out what I didn't want in the picture. I was pleased and enjoyed spending my days just finding new patterns and effects by adding new angles or even light. But one day, something was wrong. I took a hallway picture and noted there was what looked like a hand's mirror in one of the reflections. Not on the actual mirror, but on a reflection. I didn't think too much of it at the time and just told myself it was dust in the camera, because when I looked into the actual mirror I saw nothing. I continued on with my life. I worked a small rental car place and we never really saw much business. But that Friday was different. I was excited because I got a new idea to add to my art. Multicolored lights. So I went to a furniture store to find some extra mirrors. I found 2 that I liked and quickly took them to the home to start my work. I attached 4 different lights to the bottom of my mirror and set up in a square facing each other's. Red, blue, green. and yellow. Red facing blue and green facing yellow. I turned my lights off and turned on the multicolored lights and quickly set up and snapped 2 pictures of each mirror. I turned the lights back and I reviewed my photos. But this time, there was definitely something wrong. And every one of my pictures has a twisted, monstrous face that gets closer with each picture. Every time it was staring directly into the camera. Or directly at me. But I never once noticed it when I took the photos, neither was it there when I set up the mirrors. I decided to stay away from the mirrors, because I wasn't about to test my fate and see how far this thing would go. Instead, I did researches on what it could really be. I didn't find anything though. What I did know is that demons would possess the body of a soul they considered weaker than themselves, and slowly take control until it was strong enough to open a gate for its brethren to come through and cause havoc and chaos across the world. So this thing might very well be a demon that considers my soul weak enough to capture. I felt enraged and couldn't stand the thought of letting someone like that getting through the mirrors and into this world, so I decided to prove that my soul wasn't weak, and I could fight this demon off. So I set up the mirrors and stood between them and took a picture. I looked at the photos and one of my reflections. My face was different than the rest. My eyes were black and my skin was pale, and blood was trickling from my chin. I was mortified, but I drew some courage and raised my camera for another picture. But when I looked at the mirror, the deformed reflection of me was in first reflection. And no other reflections stood behind him. Just eternity. His empty eyes stared off for miles. I knew this was a trick. The demon was trying to scare me, but I won't let that happen. Just before I could speak up through, flames sprouted from his feet and I suddenly felt warmer. I looked down. And to my surprise, flames had sprouted around my feet too. I looked in the mirror as a psychotic, bloody smile spread across his face, revealing sharp, bloody teeth. I tried to run, but realized my shoes had metal to the floor, and I wasn't going anywhere. I heard a loud, ear-piercing, rhythmic, screeching sound, only to realize that it was a demon laughing at me, that he stared to move forward and stepped out of the mirrors, walking towards me. But something was weird. He was glitchy, like he didn't belong here, and was moving awkwardly towards me, with that wicked smile and empty eyes glaring into my soul. I desperately tried to move again, but as expected I couldn't. His hand reached out of me, and almost simultaneously mine did too. I had no control over my body, and I was wrong. There was a reason this one appeared to me. I was the key, the mirrors, the door. I had lost. My body was his. My soul would be destroyed. But in frantic attempt, I gained my strength and slammed into him. His attempt was in vain. Now I have control. You will all know the same fate he has known. Next time you look at your reflection, look closer, closer, and you will see the very thing you shall become. There is no escape, no redemption. We have come.